I know as a man, I was treating it, when it came to my mental and emotional well-being, I was treating it like I'm in this by myself. And I was saying, I don't want to burden Tanya with the stuff that I'm dealing with. You know, I don't want to put this on her. But the ironic part is that that's part of being vulnerable. And that's what you really wanted from me. And welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters. This is a podcast where we talk about marriage matters because marriage matters. My name is Glenn Coleman. If you're watching or listening for the very first time, and I'm joined as always by my beautiful, sexy wife.
Hi, I'm Tanya Coleman.
Yep. So, how was your week? How's things been going in your world?
Things have been going well. Things are busy. We're building. We're growing. All of the things, and just a lot happening in the household altogether. So the house is busy. So I'm busy.
So this is Sunday night that this airs. So yesterday, our oldest turned 18.
Lord help.
Shout out to Bethany Cherith Coleman.
Yes.
Our oldest, she's 18. We have an 18-year-old.
Unbelievable, right?
We have a person in our home who can vote.
Another person.
We have a child who can vote.
Yes.
Which is different. But, you know.
We're taking it all in stride.
So, yeah. So happy birthday, Bethany.
Happy birthday, Beth.
And we're going to be celebrating her today. We've been celebrating
her again.
We've been celebrating her all week. For the last 18 days.
Yeah.
She's been being celebrated.
She has been.
And if you hear the whining in the background, that is our lovely puppy. What?
Don't say her name.
I didn't say her name. Okay. I just said her lovely puppy.
Okay.
She just won't let us be great, but sounds like she's stopping. So we have a dog. Yes. She said don't say her name. But anyway, what?
Nothing.
Okay, so we hadn't done this in a while, but every now and again we like to give you tips, tricks, and tools to help you enhance your marriage, enhance your relationships, enhance your life. We're all about life enhancement. We're all about becoming the best version of ourselves, right? And so this week I want to give a recommendation. We just started reading this book by our good friends. That's right. They're good friends, Kevin and Melissa Fredericks. It's called Marriage Be Hard.
Yeah.
12 conversations to keep you laughing, loving, and learning with your partner. This has been a great read so far. I think we're three chapters in.
Yeah.
And we really enjoyed it. I love hearing other people's stories because number one, you find out it's not just you.
Right.
Number two, when you know that other people are kind of struggling with some of the same stuff that you struggle with. I don't know why, but that's encouraging. I want to say misery loves company.
Normalizing.
Normalizing. That's better than what I said. So this is a great book for maybe you. We're reading it together as a couple. So really great. Shout out to Kev and Melissa Fredericks. I would encourage you. And congratulations to Kevin and Melissa.
Yes, amazing.
I dropped the book. But this book is on the New York Times bestseller list. So I'm really proud of them for the work that they're doing. So before we move forward, something else we hadn't done in a while, I wanted to do again is our review of the week.
Yeah.
So we want to encourage you guys to go onto Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. Let us know how you enjoying the podcast, how it's helping you. We love hearing from you guys. We're really enjoying the comments, all of the shares, all of the posts, all of that stuff, the subscriptions. All of the things we're enjoying it, but I want to share this review. I've shared this review before, but I liked it so much I wanted to share it again.
Okay.
And I think Anyway, I'll share it. I'll share it again. So this review comes from Trying TT.
Okay.
So is that you? Because I know that people call,
why would I review our own podcast?
Just to hype your own self up sometimes.
No,
sometimes you got to be your own cheerleader.
I don't give false reviews.
That's not false.
Well, you know what I mean. How companies get an employee to review their product.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Well, yeah, this is not us. So from Trying TT, it says, these two people are super dynamic and are super relatable when it comes to relationships. I love everything about this podcast. They teach about being in a relationship the godly way and the Jesus way.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
And
love this podcast. Way. You would too.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you.
Trying TT.
Trying TT.
And yeah, we want to just encourage you guys. We love the comments, but we also love when you go on to Apple and give us reviews because that makes us look really good to Apple.
Yes, absolutely.
So
5 stars, please.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, and be honest,
Yeah.
But if you got if it's negative, don't leave it. We don't want to know. So yeah. So thanks again, Trying TT. So, before we get into today's topic, I do we're in the month of October, and this month of October carries two things that are near and dear to my heart. Number one is this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I want to give a special shout out to my mother.
Yes.
Such a giving, loving, I can't say enough about this woman. But she is a breast cancer survivor.
She is.
She kicked breast cancer in the booty.
She is. She is a warrior.
And so I just want to honor her and say how we love you. And can I be proud of her for?
You can be proud of her because listen, she did that thing like a soldier.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Thanks. I know she's watching. So
yes,
thanks, Mom.
We love you, Nana.
And also
and appreciate you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
And also October is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, it is.
So we talked about mental health
in the previous
episode. So we want to kind of continue that. This is the last Sunday in October. So we want to kind of stay in that vein. And mental health is really important.
Absolutely.
I heard, speaking of Kevin Fredericks, I think it was Kevin who said this. I can't remember. I listen to a lot of podcasts, so sometimes they all get jumbled. I can't remember who said what. I think it was Kevin Fredericks who said this, at Kev on Stage, who said this. But he said, when you have heart issues or heart problems, you seek out a cardiologist, or if you have issues with your feet, if you haven't, you go to a podiatrist, or
right.
if you're not feeling well, you go to urgent care or you go to these places. He was saying, but when it comes to mental health and emotional health, when we're having mental health issues, we tend not to seek out the help, the proper, let me say that, the proper help. We tend to try to handle it other ways. And I don't know why we think, if we're not, if we can't fix our own heart, if we can't, fix our own feet, what makes us think we can fix our own minds, our own mental health, our own emotions. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about. And, I know, well, say something about that because I've been talking a lot. So what?
I was letting you get to your point.
That was my point.
Okay. But yeah, absolutely. The stigma with mental health or mental well-being has always been in place. When we were growing up, if someone went to someone to see about their mind, it was said that they were crazy, or, if people, we didn't really hear about people in our community paying to go and see a therapist or a counselor. They even used the word shrink back in the day. That was used a lot. And it had a very negative connotation to it. And so now we are more aware, and the communities are becoming more and more educated on mental health and mental well-being and, the importance of taking care of your mind, as you said. And so it's progressing, but there's still a bit of a stigma attached, that I don't want to seem weak. I don't want for it to appear that I'm not, in faith. I don't, I can just pray about it. I can just talk to my best friend about it. All I have to do is keep striving, keep hustling, keep doing all these things, and I'll be okay. Mm-hmm. So there's still stigma attached to taking care of your mental well-being and your mental health. And people have the tendency to attach their person to if they are having mental health challenges or struggling in some form or fashion or emotion. It's like something is wrong with me. Mm-hmm. If I'm struggling with depression, with anxiety, if I am, having overwhelming thoughts and all of these different things, then something is wrong with me, as in, it goes back to that old saying, as in, like, you have to be crazy, or you're not mm-hmm. strong enough. You just need to toughen up, but your brain is in your body. Mm-hmm. It is a muscle. And sometimes there are things we don't have enough of certain proteins and certain elements in our brain. So that can trigger some things in us. There's past histories of traumas and all these things that literally stay in your body. If they're unprocessed, your traumatic experiences, the body remembers. And until you actually process them, sit in the feelings and allow them to flow through you so that you can really release them, all you're doing is stuffing them. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot that goes into why people don't seek, help when it comes to their mental well-being or their emotional well-being. Mm-hmm. But as I said, the more and more that we talk about it, the more and more that we put it out there, the more and more that we normalize taking care of your mental well-being and seeking counseling and seeking therapy, I believe that we will begin to see more and more people evolve. I love, and I know it's a lot of people, we talk about trauma, we talk a lot about being triggered. There are some verbiage connected to mental well-being and mental health now that people would say, well, they're buzzwords. Okay, well, they are, but I think it's because people are gaining more and more understanding of what has happened in their own lives. Mm-hmm. And so now I have a word for it. I didn't have a word for it before. Mm-hmm. I have a definition for it. I didn't have a definition for it before. Mm-hmm. All I know is what I felt, and I was scared I was not open enough to share what it is that I was feeling because I felt like something was wrong with me. Mm-hmm. Whereas if I go to the heart doctor, as you said, because something doesn't feel right with my heart, or I'm feeling out of breath when I take a flight of stairs and I'm not, there's no cause or rhyme or reason to it, most likely they're going to send me to a cardiologist to have my heart checked out because something is wrong with my heart. Mm-hmm. And we're okay with that. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to our mental and emotional well-being, there's something wrong with me going to see someone about that, going to see a counselor or a therapist about my mental and emotional well-being, because then I would have to admit that is there something wrong with me? Mm-hmm.
And I mean, well, I guess it goes back to what you were saying earlier, I don't see why I know why it's because of the culture that we grew up in, mm-hmm. why that's such a big deal. Mm-hmm. But, it's just like with anything else. And I'm learning this in my life, that until we acknowledge that there's something wrong, then we'll never get to the place where we can fix it.
Exactly.
And that's what, I know for me.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. But I'm cutting you off.
Cut me off. Go ahead.
Ignoring an issue does not make the issue go away.
Exactly. Yes.
if I leave milk in the refrigerator and it's been in that refrigerator, I don't know, 14, 15 days, most likely it's probably spoiled or soured. If we've opened it and used it, it's probably spoiled or soured. Me leaving it there and not acknowledging that it's there and taking it out and pouring it out and throwing it away does not make the bad milk go away. The bad milk stays in the refrigerator and it just spoils even more until eventually you don't even have to open the door to smell the stench. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so that's what happens when we continue to ignore our emotions. This is where people get to the point of having mental well-being, mental health breakdowns, get to the point of, having emotional outbursts and irrational behavior because I haven't dealt with the underlying stuff, that I need to deal with. Even prayer is amazing and God does good work. There are some things though that we will be allowed to have to go through a process to actually heal that thing. And God may tell you in prayer, you need to go to counseling, you need to go see a therapist, or you need to have a conversation with this person. He will always give you something to do because faith without works is dead, correct?
Yeah.
But there are some things, like I said, that we will have to go through a process of healing, that it's not just going to go away because I pray about it. There are some things that I literally need to say out loud, that I need to process, that I need to feel, that I need to sit in, that I need to apologize for, that I need to write a letter to someone that maybe doesn't get delivered. Like there are steps to this thing. And so there's always going to be a part that I have to play in it, right? And just continuing to sweep the things under the rug, they don't work.
Yeah. Acknowledging it, we can't. I remember that I was preparing for something, and this is what I heard, and some, they got some deep people who watch the podcast. So people may, it's not biblically sound, but what I heard in my heart was God told me, if I can't touch it, I can't heal it. And I think what he was saying was, and I know it's not about, I'm not talking about physically touching.
Right.
I think what he was saying to me was, you're keeping that so hidden and buried away until you bring that to me.
Right.
I guess that's what it is. Until you bring that to me.
That's your act of faith. He's going to always tell you to do something.
Like you were saying, we don't even acknowledge and we just want to ignore it. And I know that is such, I'll speak for me. For me, that was such a hard thing to do. And there was a lot that went into that, just talking about, for me as a man, as a husband, as a father, I was under the impression that I had to be strong for you. I had to be strong for the girls. I had to be strong for everybody. And if me acknowledging that, that I was struggling, and it wasn't depression or anything like that, but it was just the pressure.
It's the weight of life.
Of weight, the weight of providing, the weight of all of these things. And if I thought that if I acknowledged that or if I said that, then I would be giving into it, or I wasn't. It's like I can't be, because I know for me, like I pictured my father as this strong man, as this, conqueror, and, that the pressure never got to him, and when I would have those moments, I felt that I couldn't share them with you. So I was basically suffering in silence. There was many nights I would stay up, and I know you're always saying how you're the one that's usually up, but I'm the one usually sleeping. But there's many nights where, I'm up and I'm just processing and thinking about all of these things that are coming up and, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make this happen? How are we going to accomplish this? And that pressure could sometimes be overwhelming. And again, I never wanted to admit that, hey man, I'm struggling with this. Because I felt that if I admitted that, then I felt that I was a failure as a strong man of faith because I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know if we're gonna make it through this season, and I don't know if the rent's gonna get paid this month, or whatever it was that we were dealing with. And I had this mentality that as long as my family was okay, then I'm okay. As long as everybody is good. And when I say okay, what I meant was as long as my girls didn't know that we were struggling. I wanted to keep all of that from them, and I thought that they were okay. And, in my mind that I had to make sure that everybody else was taken care of, and how, the old saying, I'll rest when I'm dead. I don't worry about me. Are you okay?
Right.
And, we can get to a place in our lives where, eventually something's going to break. Something's going to break. And so that's why I think it's so important, to have these conversations with your spouse or with your partner. Because what I found out was you never, how do I say that? I'll say it this way. I found out that I am not your savior.
Correct.
That I'm not, and I know he says that like, oh, you're my hero. Did you ever know that you're my hero? I know we do that. That's a great song and I love that song. And I understand what the song is saying, but I'm not your hero.
Correct.
I can't save you. That's God's job.
Correct.
So I play a part in that, but I can't take the whole weight of making sure that you're okay because I'm not designed to bear up under that weight.
Right.
And I know there's so many, men out there that you may be dealing with that. Hey man, look, do me a favor. You need to have that conversation. If you don't know how to have it with your spouse, or if you don't know how to have it with your partner or your significant other or whatever, hey, reach out to me. I'm more than willing to have that conversation with you because like Tanya said, you need to talk to someone because I don't believe that we were designed to carry that weight on our own.
Correct. It makes me think about, and we've talked about this probably a long time ago on the podcast, about expecting your spouse or your significant other to make you happy, right? That it's their job to make you happy. That is unfair. That's an unfair expectation for this person to make you happy. If you are an unhappy individual, there is nothing that someone else can do to make you happy, because really happiness can be based on what's happening. So in the moment you bring me roses and I'm excited, I'm happy about receiving the roses. But if I'm still an unhappy individual on the inside, there's not much that you can do. That's some work that I need to do on my own to heal whatever is going on. That is really the root to these feelings of unhappiness. And so when you talk about provision, and I heard, I think it was Tabitha Brown say this. She said that her husband is not her provider, that God is her provider. And he's not the person that she leans on for provision, but she leans on God, right? And that has been something that I've done always since we've been married, is leaning on God for our provision, not just mine, but for our, provision. So when you take on the full brunt and weight of the expectation that that's fully your job, that's unfair to you, and for you to feel like that's solely your responsibility. I can imagine how isolating that is, you know? And so I can understand in the moments where, in those times when you would shut down and kind of go inward because you're processing all of that, because you feel alone, because I have all of this responsibility.
Because I got to do it.
Right.
And you can't do it.
Right. And that's where we as children of God era is that we feel like we've got to do it. And so we get into this grind and hustle mentality, or trying to, you know, pull funds from here and there and, you know, make things happen on our own, rather than trusting and believing God, you know. And it's when we trust, and it's not, and that's not that I'm sitting on my butt and I'm not doing anything. Right. I am working, I am doing my part, but I'm also trusting and believing God that, you know, you're speaking to me about what my part is, what it is that I'm doing. You're putting me in situations to connect with the right people. You're having, you know, you're aligning things in my life, and I'm trusting that. So even when it doesn't look like things are moving in the way that we want for them to move, and as quickly as we want for them to move, still trusting in that. You know, so I don't know how we got way over here. We talking about mental health, but
I don't know. I'm just following you. I'm going with you.
But you know, for a believer, that is a part of your mental well-being, because listen, I don't know how many times that I can say for myself where I have prayed anxious prayers, where I have prayed like, you know, God, you know, I'm trusting you to make this happen. I'm believing you to make this happen. To God, please make this happen. Or, you know, crying out, but it's coming from a place of anxiety and not trust. Right. And so until I have to deal with the anxiety, okay, where is this anxiety coming from? You know, so there's a balance, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's that place of two things are true at the same time. Yeah. You know, I'm a person of faith, and I'm also, you know, a person who deals with anxiety. And so I have to talk to someone about the anxiety, figure out where that's coming from, do what I need to do to not just manage that, but eventually heal that. And I need to lean in on God, you know, so they go together. They go hand in hand.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring us kind of back with what I was talking about earlier about, you know, making sure that we're not just holding all of that stuff in. You know, part of being in a relationship, that's the beauty. One of the beautiful things in a relationship, you're not in it by yourself. Correct. But for me, I know as a man, I was treating it, when it came to my mental and emotional well-being, I was treating it like I'm in this by myself. And I was saying, I don't want to burden Tanya with the stuff that I'm dealing with. You know, I don't want to put this on her. But the ironic part is that that's part of being vulnerable. And that's what you really wanted from me. You wanted to know my fears and my failures, and, you know, because the triumphant, the conquering, the successful, that's only one side of me. Correct. And what I was unknowingly, I said earlier unwillingly, but unknowingly, what I was unknowingly doing was I was building really a wall between you and I wasn't giving you full access to all of me, which is what you wanted, which is true intimacy, is really letting you see everything, the beautiful parts as well as the ugly parts, you know. And the bad part about this, and I know for me and a lot of the men that I've talked to, we as men, we do a good job of that compartmentalizing. And we know how to put things in the boxes, you know. I always say I throughout the day, like you call me all throughout the day. I don't do a good job of that, and I know that, and I'm working on it. But part of the reason why I don't is because, like, when I'm at work, and I compartmentalize that, and I'm getting a job done. And compartmentalizing can be a great tool. You know, when things happen and you have to take this and put it aside and now work on that. But it's not a long-term strategy for decompressing, for what's the word I'm looking for? Just your emotional well-being. That's not a good long-term strategy. And so we as men and specifically me, I had to learn how to give voice to all of that, how to talk about what I was going through, how to validate and acknowledge, like we were talking about earlier, those emotions and acknowledge those feelings. Because when you do that, it's something about acknowledging or even identifying it that starts the healing process. Right. Does that make sense?
It's like what I said earlier. It's like, oh, I have a word for it. I have understanding of it now. And so that alone begins to alleviate, the negativity, because now I can explain it. Now since I know what it is, it's like having something undiagnosed in your body. But now that we know what it is, we can treat it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Now that we know what it is. And here's the other thing that I discovered is that when you start voicing this and start talking about it, you then can do the work of understanding where is that coming from and why you're doing what you're doing and why. And so, you'll start to see these patterns in your lives and in your life. And that so helped me to understand that, it's not that, I'm trying to think of a good example. I can't think of one right now, but I'll just leave it at that. You start to identify those patterns. And on top of all of that, it's that I'll just say it this way. That's part of the growth process and becoming the man that I am today. Part of that process is going back to heal from all of those instances and unlearn. That's maybe what I was trying to say. Is unlearning. It helps me to talking about it helps me to unlearn all of those toxic things that I was taught about, even what it means to be a man. So it really has helped me to go back and undo a lot of that work, and that comes from a lot of different places. It comes from television. Some of it came from my father, just observing him, And that's the thing. Some of that I just assumed some things. I assumed that maybe he had it all figured out and there wasn't a struggle. I assumed that. But because I never had that conversation, which takes me to another point, we need to not only have those conversations with our spouses, but we need to have with our children, because they need to know that, so I don't have it all figured out all the time. I'm not stressed. I'm not perfect. All of that. Yeah. We both said all of that. We're on the same wavelength tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
So you got anything else to add?
No, I think that was good. And, just as your spouse, you're absolutely spot on, and I say that to men about women all the time, is that we want to know when we say what's wrong or what are you thinking, because you have this look on your face and you're not talking. Like, we literally want to know, and it's not out of a negative place. It's out of a place of concern and love, that what's going on with you. I want to understand you. I want to hold space for you. If I can help, I will try to offer assistance, but mainly I just want to be there for you. And when you don't open up to me, it feels like rejection, like you don't want me to be there for you. Yeah.
And I will say sometimes I don't know. So that's why I say I don't know. Sure. But when I say I don't know, maybe I need to, I change that to I don't know, but let me find out.
Right. I'm working on it.
I'm working on figuring that out. Right. Yeah. Because I think a lot of times I said I don't know, and that was just a deflection. What I really wanted to say, don't ask me that, because I really don't want to tell you what's going on. So so utilize the tool, the helpmate that God has placed in your life. Mm-hmm. And maybe they're not the end all be all. Maybe you need to talk to someone in a professional capacity. But definitely, there's so many times when we do have the conversations, the hard conversations that we have, I feel so much better because it's like, I got that off of my chest. And it's better, I feel, for me to do it that way than to just let it sit and brood and stir and or simmer. And I'm going through all this mental anguish in my mind. Sure. And I'm thinking I can't tell her that because I don't want to hurt her feelings. Or guess what? You are hurting her feelings because you're not being honest. And she feels that. And she feels distant from you and she's not, she doesn't feel like she's close to you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And for you, the more I can share that, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but the closer you feel,
absolutely,
the closer you feel to me. So hopefully you got something out of that. We're gonna leave it there. Yeah. Look, reach out, man. Get help. Look, I'm talking specifically to the men, women. If you're watching that, play just this part for the men in your life. Look, reach out. Send me a message. Get, or if it's not me, someone. Let's have these conversations. Let's talk about it. Because you're never going to be the best version of yourself. You're never going to be the you that you deserve to be.
That's good.
Until you deal with all of that stuff. And if you could have figured it out, you would have by now. So reach out. You can start at Whole Life Coaching and Counseling.com. If you go there, you can get in touch with us. Or you can just reach out to us on social media. You got anything to add to that?
No, definitely reach out to go to the website. You can sign up for a free consultation there. You can also go to the Facebook page, which is Whole Life Solutions. You can message us there, message us here. On Marriage Matters, you can definitely do that as well. Just reach out. Just say, hey, I need to talk to someone. Yeah. And we'll get you set up.
Yeah. Because look, we admit we struggle too, and we have to reach out and get help. And again, it's not that we, it's for us. We just want you to live to your full potential. And I know for me, I'm now seeing how on this journey of purpose, on this journey of self-fulfillment, is that this is a big part of that for me.
Sure.
So that's all we got for you today. Remember, go to the Apple Podcast and leave us a review. And on that note, if you're watching this, you can listen to this on Apple Podcasts. Yes. And also you can do Google Play, Spotify, Anchor, all the other places. But hit us up on Apple Podcasts. So that's all we got for you this week. That's all we got for you this week. You got anything else you want to share?
No, thank you guys so much for joining us.
All right. Well, this is Glenn and Tanya Coleman reminding you that
your marriage matters.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.